Recently, I purchased a book for little Charlie, and it's the most inspiring, beautiful book. If you're looking to purchase a book for any of your friends with children, or even indeed yourself that have little messages at the end of them, this is super beautiful. It's called You Are Something Special by Annabelle Lindgreen, and it's the most beautiful storybook to read that I thought I'd share a story with you. The Struggling Pebble. High up in the mountains of a mystical land, there was the widest, most beautiful lake anybody had ever seen. The water came straight off the mountain and was ice cold, but completely clear, so you could see the riverbed. Along the river, there were beautiful trees that had guarded the riverbank for hundreds of years. And all the animals in the area came down to the river to drink and wash because the waters were so refreshing. However, one of the most unlikely creatures to live in this magical river was a pebble. The pebble was just like any other pebble. It was round and grey and sat with the rest of the pebbles and spent all day letting the river wash over them in the most relaxing way. For the pebble, life was perfect. He would spend all day talking with the other pebbles and chatting with any animals that came to the river to wash and drink. He spent all his life in the river, and it was truly the place the pebble called home. However, one fateful day, there was a storm up in the mountains, and all the rainwater came down and made the river flow so fast. All the animals ran from the river, and all the pebbles and stones held onto the riverbank as much as they could. However, this one little pebble couldn't hold on, and there was a big whoosh of current, and the pebble was picked up and carried down the river. The pebble tried as hard as it could to hold on, bumping itself into other pebbles and the riverbed to try and not to move. But the water was flowing too fast and the current was too strong. Eventually, the storm settled and the pebble came to rest on the riverbed. But this was not Pebble's home. The pebble floated over to the shore, and there he found a moose drinking from the side. "Hello, moose," the pebble said. "Do you know where I am?" "Why, yes, little pebble," the moose replied. "You're in the river." "Very funny," said the pebble. "Please, I need to get back home." "Well, I don't know where your home is, but I know that this is the world. Look around at how beautiful it all is." "No, thank you," said the pebble. "Thank you for your time, though." The moose nodded as the pebble pushed away from the shore of the river and back in. "I must get home," the pebble thought to itself. With all this might, the pebble pushed into the river and tried to float upstream. But the more effort the pebble put in to move, the less it moved. The pebble tried so hard to move upstream, but it simply didn't work. The pebble, lost and confused, tried for hours to push and push against the current of the river, but still couldn't move. Minutes turned to hours, and the pebble found itself even further downstream than when it had started. Through all the struggling, the pebble didn't even notice a small crayfish had come out of hiding and was watching the pebble push. "Are you okay there, little pebble?" the crayfish said. "You look very tired." "No, I'm not okay. I'm lost and I need to get home." "Well, you know you're not going to get home pushing against the current," said the crayfish. "Life is all about letting go and going with the flow. That's how you see what is most beautiful in life." "No, I need to get home." "But look around, little pebble. What do you see?" The pebble looked around. It was nearly night time at this point in the day and was starting to get dark. However, unlike where the pebble lived, there weren't as many trees here, only vast fields that stretched out as far as the pebble could see. And at this time of day, there was the most beautiful sunset that filled the sky with orange and pink colours and made everything look so beautiful. However, the pebble was so caught up with the thoughts in its head it saw nothing. "No, I must go," said the pebble. and it pushed off into the current to carry on down the stream. "Suit yourself," said the crayfish. "Don't forget to go with the flow." That night the pebble couldn't sleep. He just drifted further and further down the stream, and there was no hope of it getting home. However, the crayfish's words played over and over again in the pebble's head. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. What did that silly crayfish mean? Go with the flow. Like the flow in the river? The pebble tried to relax and go with the flow. And when it did, the most extraordinary thing happened. The pebble started to have fun. As the current and waters of the river twisted and turned down the hill, the pebble whooped and ahed with every bump. Sometimes the pebble would get so much speed it would fly out of the water and crash back down with an almighty splash that made the pebble laugh so much. Even though it was night time, lots of other pebbles woke up along the way and saw how much fun the pebble was having, and some even decided to join in. Before the pebble knew it, there were dozens of pebbles floating down the river having the best time of their lives. At one point, even the salmon jumped in, much to the amazement of all the animals on the shore. Hours went by, and eventually the pebble was so very tired, it stopped bouncing and having fun in the water and just relaxed and let the current push him down. Eventually, the currents of the river died away, and the water here was still and calm. The sun was just coming up across the horizon. It was morning. Just as the pebble was catching its breath, it noticed a huge shape moving underneath it in the water. The pebble was scared, as it couldn't see the riverbed anymore, not even any ground. The water just went on and on forever. "Hello there, little pebble," a booming voice called out from the depths of the water. "What are you doing this far out of your home?" In an instant, a huge whale appeared in front of the pebble. "I'm sorry, whale. I'm just going with the flow and ended up here. Where exactly is here?" "You're in the ocean, little pebble," the whale replied. "And what do you mean, going with the flow?" "Well, I live in a river, but a storm happened and pushed me out of my home and down the river. I tried so hard to get back, but I couldn't do it. So I did what the crayfish told me to do and just floated down. I've had the most amazing time." The whale found it all very hard to believe. "I will show you," the pebble said, and asked the whale to take the pebble to the surface of the ocean. It was unlike anything the pebble had ever seen before. There was so much water and no banks, riverbeds or shorelines. Just water as far as the pebble could see. With the sun coming up and reflecting off the surface, the pebble sighed as it had never seen anything more beautiful in all its life. "You see, Mr. Whale, this place is so beautiful. If I was just focusing on one thing and living my life in my head of my thoughts, I would never be able to see the world for how beautiful it is. I've just had to relax and go with the flow." The whale took a deep breath and closed his eyes. So deep that the pebble thought it was going to get sucked inside the whale. But it was okay. The whale then breathed out and opened its eyes again and saw its home in a whole new light. "You are right, little pebble. This is such a beautiful place, and I only don't notice that it's beautiful because I see it every day. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with me." And so, the pebble travelled the currents of the oceans, exploring all it could find and going wherever nature took it, and sharing the crayfish's message with it wherever it went, showing the world to relax and just go with the flow, rather than spending all their energy trying to fight the current. I thought this was such a beautiful story with such a beautiful and incredible message, so simple and something that we all often forget, to go with the flow and great and extraordinary things happen. I hope you enjoyed listening to this story as much as I enjoyed reading it to you.